What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my 2017 yearly makeup favorites. Real quick, just want to thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. That's freaking amazing. I can't believe it. I know everybody's like, oh, 1,000's not that much. There are people that have millions of subscribers. And I'm like, try cramming 1,000 people into a living room and see how much luck you have. I mean, come on. That's a lot of freaking people. So thanks again. I am forever indebted to you guys. I freaking love you. I love talking to you in the comments. And yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and get to the favorites before this turns into like an Academy Award acceptance speech. All right, so first off, I'm going to start with foundation. I'm just going to kind of work my way up the face, if that makes any sense. We'll start at the bottom of the face and work our way to the top layer. Let's do it. Anyway, so the way I'm going to do this favorites video, I'm not going to mention every single thing that I liked throughout the year. Obviously, I do monthly favorites, and I have favorite products that I've tried, favorite combinations of products, old favorites that have been rediscovered in my collection. That's not what this video is about. This video is going to be about the standouts of 2017, like the products that I just remember loving more than pretty much any other products I tried. So the first one is going to be the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. I really like this foundation, especially because I work a job where I'm like sweating all the time. It's pretty physically demanding, and this is bulletproof. Like, it's even hard for me to get off at the end of the night, which is really weird, and the first foundation I've ever had that problem with. It's not necessarily a good problem to have, but it's not a bad problem to have. I don't really like the smell that much. I mean, it doesn't bother me too bad. I've noticed, at least with the scent in here, it's a definitely fake peach scent, which is kind of obnoxious, and I mean, why is it there at all? But at the same time, once the foundation dries down, it seems to evaporate, and I've noticed I can't really smell the scent anymore. However, my next product, I can't really say the same thing about, but it's still a favorite of mine because I've just grown to love it. I haven't even had it that long. I've recently got this. I actually did a review for this, and I'll link it down below if you're interested in it. This is the Wet n Wild MegaCushion Foundation. I'm in the shade Light Ivory. I believe this is the lightest shade at this point. The shade range is garbage, absolute trash. Like, there's not really any good things I can say about the shade range. This is a pretty good match for me. It's the foundation I have on right now. This is actually the first foundation, or this is actually the first cushion foundation I've ever owned, and I really like it because my skin is so dry. It's really moisturizing. It doesn't feel dry on my face. It's just a really nice foundation. It melts into my nose, which I have a really hard time getting foundations to stick to my nose, and this has no problem. Let's zoom. Let's do it. Let's do it. And like, I have no problem getting it to stick to my nose. Like, isn't that ridiculous? Like, yeah, my nose is pretty much a repellent of foundation, and yet this one sticks really well. I don't know, it doesn't cling to any dry patches. It doesn't get crumbly and flaky. It's just, I freaking love it. Okay. So yeah, Wet n Wild Cushion Foundation. Oh, and let's just talk about the packaging real quick. How adorable. I'm not usually a fan of like cutesy packaging a la Too Faced, but this gets a pass because, I don't know, it's just cute, and I like that it's black and it's adorable. I love this foundation. Again, working our way up in layers of the face, I'm going to go to powder. I don't really have a concealer that is my favorite this year. I like the Tarte Shape Tape. Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of a staple in everybody's collection. It's a good concealer. I think I miss it as an eye primer more than anything. I recently ran out of it, and I didn't repurchase it because I noticed that this time of year it started looking really dry on my face anywhere that I put it, and it became actually hard to blend out. I don't know if it's just because it's the time of year, my skin's drier than it normally is, or what, but I just haven't repurchased it yet. However, I have found myself missing it more as an eye primer than anything. So I think ultimately when I do repurchase it, it will be primarily used to prime my eyelids for eyeshadow. So that's why I don't have a new favorite concealer. I've been using the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea, which I like it. I guess it gets like an honorable mention. Not a huge fan of the packaging. The packaging is kind of annoying. I don't really understand it for a concealer. I don't generally like glass packaging. I think it's beautiful, but at the same time, glass packaging makes it hard for you to get every last ounce of product out, because I can't just shatter the glass and scrape the packaging out. Like, I can cut open a plastic tube, or, you know, cut open a bottle and scrape it, you know, take the pump out and scrape the rest. Anyway, I do like how moisturizing this is. However, if you have dry skin, you might like it. So honorable mention, but I'm not going to call it a favorite because I'm still trying to get to know it a little bit. Let's go to powder. This is the Kat Von D Lock-It Blotting Powder. This is in the shade Light. They do make a shade lighter than this that is literally white. I think they only make 4 shades in this as of right now. But when I ran out of my Laura Mercier translucent powder, I replaced it with this, and it really seems to serve the same purpose, but it's not as messy. I do have my RCMA No Color powder if I find the desire to use translucent powder at some point in time. I just don't think I need 2 different ones. So yeah, I just replaced it with this, and I love the way it erases my pores. I'll show you what it looks like. I have it on today, and if you can see right here around my nose, that's what I'm wearing, and it's like I don't have any pores at all, and I'm not using a blurring filter or anything. Yeah, I really like this powder. I'm surprised at how much I like it, and I'm not gonna lie, I pretty much only bought it for the packaging. And I was like, I took a chance on it. I'm like, you know what? I need a powder. How bad can it be, right? It's great. I love it. I love the packaging too. It's like a wax seal. How freaking cool is that? All right, so let's go to another powder. I'm gonna do the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder. Now this is a diffused light. This is the more yellow toned one. I recently repurchased it during the Sephora VIB sale, but I got the ethereal version because I think it might be a little bit more shimmery and glowy. Ultimately, I haven't really cracked into it yet because I'm trying to use this one up first, but I really just like the formula of these powders. They don't dry my face out. I have dry skin, so it's hard for me to find a powder that doesn't overly dry my skin out and that I don't really have to be super conservative with just to make sure it doesn't dry my skin out. Like, that's a powder I can use all over my face. Like the Lock-It powder and any other, setting powder, I usually just use kind of in my oilier areas, even though I don't really have oily skin, but the areas where my makeup will kind of tend to break up, I'll use like the blotting powder or for a translucent powder, for instance. But with the Hourglass, I like using it to set my entire face to help me blend out the rest of my powder products, because I've found that it's easier for me to blend powder products, obviously on top of powder products, but at the same time, if I set my entire face with a powder that's too dry, it just makes my skin feel really dry. So I love the Hourglass powders for just setting the perimeter of my face. So next favorite, this is going to be the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush. This is in the shade Party. It's got 3 A's in it. Why? I got this for the Sephora birthday gift this year. It's not a really difficult blush to wear. I'm not even somebody who's super into blush, and I love this blush. It just adds like my color back into my cheeks. I don't know, it's not too warm, it's not too cool toned. It's just a good mix. It's an easy formula to work with. I don't like super pigmented blushes that make it really difficult for me to blend out. I don't like blushes that don't have a lot of pigment because those tend to look patchy. It just strikes the perfect balance with this one. Love it. Next favorite, and if you saw my October favorites, you might have been expecting this. This is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Vanilla Quartz. I love this highlight. It is currently my favorite highlight of all time. It beat out Moonstone for being my favorite highlight. I still like Moonstone, of course, but this has a reflective quality that Moonstone does not have. This one reminds me a lot of Kat Von D's Thunderstruck. I love Vanilla Quartz. It just has that nice color shift, but just barely. It has like a gold shift. I think it's permanent at this point, so hopefully I'll be able to just kind of hold off until the next VIB sale and maybe use this one up in the meantime. So sticking with powder products, let's do this. All right, now this is the Makeup Revolution Ultra Contour Light and Shade Palette. This is the direct knockoff. I can't even call this a dupe. I mean, it is a dupe technically because it is a duplicate of the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, but it is literally, it's like a bootleg. This is like a bootleg version of Kat Von D's Shade and Light eye palette. Same thing. I think there's less product in at least here because these don't have as much product in them as the others. The packaging is not great because, like I said, mine's already cracked. I do travel with this, and another reason I like having this around is because if I were to travel with the Kat Von D one and it would break or something, that would be absolutely heartbreaking because it is expensive. This one, however, was $15. I mean, the formula is good. Even the whites are pigmented in this, which I have a hard time finding like a nice white shadow that doesn't just blend away into my face. But look at that. Look at the pigment in the white shades in this palette. It's ridiculous. I think it's great. I love it. Speaking of Kat Von D, my next favorite of the year, this is the Kat Von D Saint and Sinner eyeshadow palette. I love this palette. It's beautiful. I think it's extremely unique. I think the fact that all of these shades are occurring in the same palette is unique. You don't see a lot of palettes like this, especially with shades like this all kind of grouped into one, which is why a lot of people don't like it, and I can totally see that. But this palette has really forced me to get creative. I think it's cool that it has a lot of muted colorful shades as well as bright colorful shades. I think there's a good mix of neutrals versus brights and in between muted shades. I like this palette for a bunch of different reasons. Unfortunately, it does look like it is out of stock on their website. However, you might be able to find it in one of your stores if you look it up. Maybe they're restocking it. I have no idea. All it says is it's out of stock. It doesn't say if it's going to come back in stock. It does say email when in stock. I don't know if they're going to restock it one more time. Anyway, yeah, I really like this palette. I realize it's limited edition, just like every other thing Kat releases. I'm just going to shut up. I like this palette. One of my faves. Moving on. Next thing I'm going to talk about is, let's see. Next, I'll talk about mascara. This is something I recently discovered. This is, well, a few months back. This is something I discovered this year. I think I found this in September or October. This is the Essence Lash Princess False Effect mascara. They have a couple of different ones. I think there's one that has like purple detailing on it, like a black tube with purple on it. I don't believe it's obviously not. This is the False Effect one. I can't remember what that one's called. But this mascara is really good. The biggest gripe I have about it is that there is no safety seal on pretty much anything Essence sells at the drugstore, which sucks. But if I am buying, like if I'm repurchasing skincare or anything off of Ulta's website, throw a few of these in my cart. I think they're $4.99. They used to be, and I swear they used to be $2.99, but I think that I think Essence like figured out the hype. I think they figured out that people were liking this, and they upped the price $2, which is ridiculous because they did that without adding a freaking safety mechanism. Come on, Essence, what is your freaking deal? I think it's a great cruelty-free dupe for the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. I don't say that because of the wand. The wand is nothing like the Maybelline Lash Sensational, but I've found that this mascara has a very similar formula. It's very wet. I like wet mascara formulas, and it's also kind of thick, so I think that this is a pretty good dupe for that one. However, this one does dry out more quickly. It dries out pretty fast. Maybe if they'd add a safety seal, that wouldn't be an issue. All right, so I'm gonna stick with the eyes. These are my favorite brow products of the year. Now, I've been using this brow product for a really long time, but obviously this is my first year on YouTube, so I am going to mention it. This is the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. This is the shade Black. Everybody says that this is a dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. I've never actually used the Brow Wiz, but honestly, I don't need to. I love this brow pencil. I don't see how the Anastasia one could improve on it because it seems to me it already has a really nice texture. It's waxy, but it doesn't crumble like a lot of brow pencils that are too waxy. They tend to kind of skip around on your eye and crumble. I have a Wet n Wild one like that right now, as a matter of fact. Not my favorite, but I like the formula of this. I like the spoolie on it. It's a really kind of stiff yet uniform shape spoolie, unlike, it's not like a cone shape. I like that I like the cylindrical shape of this spoolie. I prefer it over a cone shape spoolie, just FYI. The biggest gripe I have about this, I guess, if I did have to say one now, normally I buy this when NYX is buy one, get one half off at Ulta, and I'll buy like 4 of them and just kind of stock up on them while they're cheap. But sometimes I get some that don't want to hold together very well. Now, this one is okay. Obviously, part of it broke off. That could be my fault when I first got it. But the last one I had, this part cracked right here. And the spoolie kind of came out, and that sucked because I like the spoolie. But aside from that, I love this brow pencil. I don't see the need in buying a $20 Brow Wiz from Anastasia when this one works just as well. Speaking of Anastasia, though, this is something I have not been able to dupe, and I have never found a better replacement. This is the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. I love this stuff. I have used, I think, just about every clear brow gel that the drugstore has to offer. Even before I went cruelty-free, I had used is it the L'Oreal one? I used the Rimmel one for a while. I tried the Model's Own one. That was I've tried so many different clear brow gels, and they were all just terrible. They were too wet. They would move around the product. Like, for instance, my pencil, it would move the brow pencil around on my eye. It would get really crumbly and start to ball up right around the rim of the applicator, and even the brow product itself would get kind of chunky, and it would just get really gross really fast, and it would leave little pieces of stuff all over my eyebrows. This one does not do it, and not to mention the fact that those didn't really dry down, which is probably why they balled up, because the product never dried down into my brows. This one dries down. I mean, it is like putting hairspray in your brows, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, but it doesn't flake, it doesn't ball up, it doesn't get gross, it holds my brows in place all day long. And I have kind of crazy brows because I have a cowlick in one of my brows, so the hairs kind of grow downward. This fixes that problem. I will always repurchase this, I think, from here on out, unless the drugstore makes a cruelty-free option that's cheaper, that is just as good, which I do not have high hopes for. I am going to keep repurchasing this. However, I am planning on just stocking up on them during VIB sales so that I don't have to pay full price, or when Ulta has sales, or when they send coupons. Now, face. This is my favorite setting spray of the year. I love this setting spray. This is the Milani Make It Last setting spray. It's weird. Like, when I first got this, I was like, there's nothing special about it. What's the big deal? I don't know why everybody's freaking out about it. It's just a setting spray. But then the more I used it, the more I noticed that it really does smooth out my foundation. It smooths out my makeup. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how it does it. I don't know how it works. But as opposed to just melting all the powder away, it really just smooths out my makeup. It makes it look more, it almost makes it look airbrushed. And it does make it last. I like this, but I'm out of this, as you can see. I haven't repurchased it because I am currently using the Wet n Wild. But when I'm out of the Wet n Wild, I will probably repurchase this one because I miss having it. I like it. It's great and cheap. Okay, so my last favorites are going to be lip products. Now, these are my two standout lip products of the year. I love lip products. They're one of my favorite things to wear and buy along with eyeshadow, but these are amazing, at least to me. This is Lime Crime Shroom. This is one of their Velveteens in the shade Shroom. I've never found a dupe for this, unfortunately. It is a very warm, I want to say, they describe it as 90s brown on their website, but I feel like the brown lipstick that was worn in the 90s was a little bit more mauve. I don't know. However, this is just a great warm brown shade. I like the way it smells. I don't think that their lipsticks have a really bad smell. They actually smell pretty good, but at the same time, it doesn't stick around, so you're not stuck with that scent all day long. And that one in particular has a really good formula. Not all of the Lime Crime Velveteens have a good formula. There are quite a few duds, just terrible. It's so crazy to me how inconsistent that line is. Like, that is such a great formula. And then you have their black lipstick, which is also a good formula, like this one. And then you have shades like Blue Flame, which is just, oh my god, it's terrible. It's like it's just terrible. It's dry and flaky. It's awful. Okay, my next favorite as far as lips go, and I think this is my last favorite of everything of the entire year. This is the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit. This is in the shade Sleepy Hollow. When I originally got this, it was part of their Halloween collection, and I fell in love with it, and I was like, please make it permanent. And they did. It's permanent. I even bought a backup just in case they didn't. But yeah, they made this permanent. I love it. It's so freaking cool. I did not think I would like it this much, but I don't know. It's like, I think the other reason I like it so much is because it, like, when I put it on, it somehow like color matches my eyeballs, my irises. So it tends to look the same color as my eyes when I put it on, because my eyes are pretty gray in general. So I love this lipstick, and I actually like the formula of this one. This is another line of liquid lipsticks that I do not think are consistent in formula. This formula, however, is great. It doesn't dry my lips out. Like, it moves with my lips. It doesn't look crackly and dry. Like, even this one, this is the Kat Von D Lolita that I have on today, and I love the way this lipstick feels. I love the way it layers, but even this has a tendency to emphasize the texture on my lips. This one, however, does not. I don't really think that any of the liquid catsuits do, but for whatever reason, this one is just, the formula's better. It dries down enough that it doesn't goop up. Like, some of the other liquid catsuits I've tried tend to get gloopy on your lips and thick and heavy. This one doesn't do that. This one is great. I highly recommend it. It's cheap. So, okay, guys. Well, this has been the longest favorites video of my life. Thanks again for 1,000 subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are awesome. My subscribers are super cool. So, yeah. I'm not sure how to end this video. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments. As usual, if you're not a subscriber and you want to be, just hit the subscribe button on your way out, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, guys. See you next year. Just kidding. I'm having videos up until, I'm going to stick to my schedule. Don't worry. But I will. See you next year as well. Happy New Year.